I was about to post a video with some Trumpers' reactions to Charlie Kirk getting shot and then passing away when I got a text from a friend that Donald Trump had made a post about it on his failing social media platform, Truth Social. So I just lost 4 whole minutes of my life watching and recording that. And I would like to share some of it with you here because I think it ties in to the reactions of Trumpers, and also because I think it's pretty concerning. Don't want to be alarmist, but we know that Trump's ultimate goal is to incite violence, is to incite a rebellion so that he can justify his authoritarian crackdown. So of course he's going to use this situation to try and do just that. First, let me pull up that video for you.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much.
Okay, I'm going to have to break this up into clips in order to stomach it. And also, I don't know if you noticed, I sped it up a tiny bit. So obviously, Donald Trump and the regime were going to use Charlie Kirk's death in this manner. Fork found in kitchen. This was absolutely an inevitability. I just made a video a little bit ago on my other TikTok channel about how when people are killed for their political beliefs, they become amplified in death. And at the end of this video, you'll see more evidence of how the regime is going to use Charlie Kirk in an attempt to make a martyr out of him. But let's keep going.
It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible.
Remember how I said every accusation is a confession when it comes to Donald Trump? This man uses the most obscene, dehumanizing language around immigrants, around refugees, around trans people, around women, around disabled people, around poor people. Absolutely, the consistent dehumanization of people in this country, vulnerable groups of people in particular, makes it much easier for other people, Trumpers, the regime, to enact violence against them. It always comes back to dehumanization. That is always the beginning of being much more comfortable with inflicting suffering and committing violence against others. And the right in this country, starting all the way back to Rush Limbaugh, calling feminists feminazis, calling immigrants to this country illegals. Donald Trump has referred to other people consistently as aliens, animals, thugs, gang members, criminals. A whole litany of slurs that I cannot say on social media. One, because I don't want to say them, and two, because it'll get my video taken down. But the President of the United States and his followers feel very comfortable using those dehumanizing terms on the regular. But what does Donald Trump mean here specifically, because he's trying to tie it to Charlie Kirk?
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
Nazis are people with a particular political ideology. It's not dehumanizing to call someone a Nazi if they hold Nazi beliefs and ascribe to the values of the Nazi party. But do you see what he's doing here? Trump is using this term, the radical left. That is a dehumanizing term in and of itself, because he means anybody opposed to the violence and oppression of the regime, he's going to call them the radical left. And do you see how the fact that they haven't apprehended this shooter, we don't know this person's political ideology, we don't know anything about them. They don't even have a suspect yet, y'all. And yet Trump is freely writing a fiction in his head, like I've seen so many people on social media doing, crafting a narrative. They have decided in advance who this shooter was, what their motivation was. Trump has decided to blame it all on the radical left, right? We can all see what he's trying to stoke here. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. If you want to watch the full thing, it'll be on my YouTube uncut. But Trump goes on to talk about political violence and how too many lives have been lost. And then he proceeds to talk about his attempted assassination, with the ear maxi pad. And then he goes on to talk about the 2017 shooting of Steve Scalise and other members of Congress. And then, of course, he talks about the United Healthcare CEO. So he actually only references two murders, Charlie Kirk and United Healthcare CEO. Interesting that he's choosing to reference the k of a CEO, a member of the oligarchy, the elite, who made his, what, 50 million plus dollars, being a pencil pusher, signing for the deaths of countless Americans. United Healthcare is notorious for profiting off of denying claims, actively killing people, just not with firearms. But then Trump failed to mention the actual assassination of a Minnesota lawmaker and the attempted assassination of another. Why? Because they were Democrats? Is that why you didn't mention those, Donald Trump? Again, real quick here before I show the next clip. It's interesting to me how he keeps his hand covered the whole time. His speech is a little slurred the longer the video goes on, the more he's having a hard time. Just wanted to add that in there. So skipping ahead a little bit.
Ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died. The values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close.
He ends with God bless his memory and protect his family, and a bunch of religious speak, because Donald Trump is really good at harnessing Christianity and sort of pseudo-Christianese to appeal to all of the MAGA Christians who adore him and think that he's God's ordained. But again, do you notice how he is trying to make a martyr out of Charlie Kirk? They are already rewriting history. They're already spinning who Charlie Kirk was and trying to make him sound like a pure and noble figure who lost his life when he just cared about college students and trying to help them become politically active. They make it sound like he's a great American hero, and they're going to continue to push that narrative. They will use Charlie Kirk and his death to justify violence against Americans. This is why I said at the beginning that I find this video particularly concerning, because we knew they were going to take this tactic, but we can really see it now. Trump is trying to create a civil war in the United States. He is trying to pit the left against the right. He is trying to make it seem like he is now justified in doing whatever he wants to anybody that he deems to be on the radical left, because that is a patriotic American thing to do, and to get justice for Charlie Kirk's memory or whatever. He is now painting everybody on the political left in this country as being violent, evil, the source of political violence, and the problem in America. Again, every accusation is a confession. The thing is that a majority of Americans did not vote for Donald Trump. What is it, 20-something% of the population actually voted for him? And we're seeing Trump's popularity slipping day by day by day. So he tries to make it sound like there's a few crazy folks on the left, but really it's the majority of America who is opposed to what he's doing. And obviously, it's the vast majority of America, including most people on the left, the vast majority of people on the left who do not condone political violence and do not condone this assassination. But Trump's going to spin it in order to create a divide, in order to justify his authoritarian crackdown, in order to try and, shut down nonprofits, organizations that he sees as opposed to him. He is using Charlie Kirk's death to justify crackdowns against political dissidents. And I think we will see that increase, which is why it is more important than ever that we stand up for our rights, that we do not allow the chilling of dissent that the regime is trying to conduct through this, right? They're going to try and go after people who stand up and speak against him. And really what he's trying to do is make people too afraid to speak out. He's trying to make you afraid to stand up and exercise your rights and to criticize what he's doing, because then he can label you radical left and do whatever he wants to you. And his fringe followers will take it up, and I am sure they will use this as a justification for them to enact political violence, like January 6th. But this isn't a situation where there's a North and a South, right? We are politically diverse all over this country. There are blue states, but every state is a mix of red and blue, and pretty much every red state is actually a purple state. It's just gerrymandered all to hell. So we'll see what comes of this in the next few days. But we need to anticipate the way the regime is going to try and twist it, leverage it, and then we need to have our A game on about how to respond. And let's not forget, Trump is old ill, unpopular, and the Epstein files need to be released.